Welcome back. The guy on that side is Mo. The guy on this side is Scott Branson. We are here hosting Silver and Black today, an Odyssey original podcast where we talk nothing but Raiders football. Las Vegas Raiders football, Oakland Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders, whatever your taste of Raiderdom is, we're here to talk about it. Please do me a favor to follow us on Twitter for the show SNB Today. Also on Instagram, Silver Black, the number 2 day. Mo Moten, who is an NFL senior writer at Bleacher Report, as well as the lead columnist over at sportsnot.com, writing about the Raiders. You can follow him at Mo Moten, MOEMOTON, and I am at LV Gully, GULLY. So we got all the social stuff out of there. We're done with the plugs. We're back into football. Oh, one more plug, Mo. I forgot. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Get your grandma to subscribe. It doesn't matter. Just have them, even if they don't listen to it that often, believe me, if they listen to it, they're going to fall in love with Mo. They're going to think it's their grandchild. They're going to love him. Make sure you do it. You could do that on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, wherever you get your stuff. I'm a big fan of the Odyssey app. Actually, our company has a great app where you can get all the radio stations around the country as well as podcasts. You can do it there as well. Just subscribe. Do us a favor. Also, drop us a 5-star review. I know if Mo's not on the show, it's only a 4-star, but that's okay. We have him here. So it's a 5-star. So do that for us. We appreciate it. All right. On to safeties. Mo, this is a topic that we're going to talk about. And of course, not as deep, but I want to talk about what we did in the last block, a little bit about Patrick Graham and his scheme. When you look at the safeties and they have that the Raiders have, including Johnathan Abram, who obviously is in a make or break year, didn't get his 5th-year option. That scheme and what he's doing there for this safety group, for somebody like Johnathan Abram, who was moved to box safety last year, which is more of his natural position, what does that mean for these guys competing as they go into camp?
There could be a look at who performs best in a too high safety look. And what I mean by that is 2 safeties up high, deep in coverage, because when you got a Patrick Mahomes in the division, that worked against him last year. A lot of teams played too high, forced him to go underneath, forced him to be patient with short passes downfield, make him drive 70 yards down for the touchdown. If you can get a good safety duo on the back end who can cover, and that hasn't been Johnathan Abram's strong suit, then you have a chance to beat some of the better quarterbacks in the league. 3 of them happen to be in the AFC West with the Raiders. So they have to learn how to play in different looks, not just have a safety down the box and a safety up high, but 2 safeties who can stop the big play.
Yeah, no doubt. And then it's interesting with Johnathan Abram. So let's just jump into it because I think that's where people start. Because to me, we also, if we're going to talk about Johnathan Abram, we'll get into that. But also the Raiders brought Duron Harmon in to compete with him, which I think was a good move for many reasons, including if Abram can't answer the bell, so to speak. But you look at Abram, struggled on the field. He struggled to stay healthy. Missing all but 1 game his rookie campaign, as we remember. If he wants to be a Raider, he's going to have a breakout season in 2022. What are his biggest obstacles outside of the health for him to really stick and get another contract from the Raiders? And how confident are you that he will do that?
Not very confident that Abram will be back with the Raiders next season. Abram, if you're listening, I'm sorry. You're probably going to block me on Twitter for this, but I just don't see it because today's safeties, Abram is kind of an old school throwback safety where he's going to set the tone. He's going to bring the lumber, as they, so to speak, as they would say. But that type of safety just isn't as valuable in today's league as it was maybe 30, 40 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Now your safeties have to be able to cover because offenses are spreading defenses out. They're throwing the tight ends, they're throwing the running backs. So your guys all have to be able to be comfortable playing in space. Now, I'm not saying Abram was terrible in coverage, but once you get beyond 8 yards and get downfield, we saw that last year, gets in trouble, can't find the football, and he can get mossed out there. So he's going to have to definitely improve there. But if Graham can find a way to use his athleticism, his physicality in the box, supporting the run, and he's the best at that or one of the best at that, then he has a shot. But again, he's going to have to improve in space as a cover defender.
And it's interesting, Mo, when we and our good friend Kelly Kreiner, shout out to Kelly, when we were on the air for that draft, we did a draft show and we were live on the air when they took Johnathan Abram, and we both had the same reaction. Same reaction was like, that's good player, but he's kind of old school. The rules in the NFL, it's not going to fit pretty well. And sure enough, and I'm not just piling on the John Gruden drafts here, which is easy to do in many ways, but that was always something that was going to be a challenge for him. And it seems like at times last year, he really made a concerted effort to overcome that and to play smarter and to back off a little bit. But you are who you are, as they say. And I think it's going to be difficult for him to pull back from that and become the player he'd need to be to stick with the Raiders. So I agree with you. What about Duron Harmon, though, there coming in as a guy who's going to not only compete with him, but in some ways I think could just supplant him and be the guy who that Patrick Graham defense looks to?
Yeah, I actually think there's a possibility. I mean, the Raiders may go with 3 safeties. If let's say if Nate Hobbs has to move outside for whatever reason, the Raiders can go with a big nickel, which means an extra safety on the field. And they can have Abram, Moehrig, and Harmon all on the field at the same time. Of course, there are dime packages where there's 6 defensive backs on the field. So Harmon is going to see some snaps. It's just how much, and will he supplant, as you just mentioned, will he supplant Abram? And I think they give Abram a chance initially, but if in certain situations, like I said, when you have to play too high, they may lean on Harmon more than Abram, just because, Harmon has the proven track record. I know he isn't what he is maybe years ago. He's toward the end of his career right now, but he has the starting experience, has the ball skills in certain situations, in stretches. Not great, but probably better than Abram, which isn't saying a lot. But if you can just get an upgrade and that look and that too high safety look, then you'll take it. But I think Harmon's going to play a role. It's just how many snaps he's going to play. I would give it maybe 40-50% of the defensive snaps this year.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. The competitions in camp, I'm excited about them, because I think with this new coaching staff and that attitude they have and bringing in it, so to speak, it's going to be fun to watch these guys. One guy that I got excited about last year, I know everybody did, and that was last year's second-round draft pick, 43rd overall, and that was Tre'von Moehrig, one of the best safeties in the NFL last season. Mo, I'm looking at his numbers here, 1,000 snaps on defense for the Raiders, 55 tackles, and 6 pass deflection. How good can Tre'von Moehrig be?
I think he could be, by the end of the season, I actually think he could be a top 5 safety. I know that sounds, a little off the wall right now, because he's only had 1 year, but his first year was pretty impressive. I know he had a couple of interceptions slip through his fingertips, but if he holds on to those this year, I think he takes a big leap. Versatile, play up high, play down low in the box, can support the run, has to cut down the missed tackles, but I think he can, just with having experience on the pro level. He's the guy I look at, that I think is going to take the biggest second-year leap. I know a lot of people are saying Nate Hobbs is in that running too, but I think Moehrig as a guy who could take the football away, he's going to take a big leap in 2022.
How about some of these other guys? You look at Quintero. I gotta get it straight. Cole, Ty Gillespie, and then Isaiah Polamoa from USC. Any of those guys have flashes that you think, hey, they could actually get out there and compete and try to make this roster?
I don't think either of the undrafted rookies make the roster, only because, again, I think they're going to use Amik Robinson as a hybrid cornerback safety. I can get into that another time, but the guy I would look at is Gillespie. They drafted him in the fourth round under the Gruden regime. Will he get a chance to finally show what he's got? Because we haven't seen much of him. He didn't even play 50 defensive snaps last year. So what does he bring to the table? What type of player is he? I think we're going to find out at camp. He could surprise some people because we haven't seen him, so we don't know what he is. But, I mean, he could play at Missouri. He could play up high, play in the box. If he can play both safety spots, be versatile, I think he has a shot to have a role, a decent role. And, again, play maybe 60% of the snaps if he steals some reps away from Johnathan Abram, who I think is on shaky ground right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's an interesting group. And, again, it not as – I think high profile is when we look at the cornerbacks. But again, like you said, if they're playing 3 high safety, there's going to be a lot of changes here with this defense. And so they're going to need depth. They're going to need guys who can play in that system and make sure that they get tight in that AFC West, man. Let me tell you, it's just going to be a gauntlet with the quarterbacks in the division and the entire conference, and even some of their games from the NFC side is going to be tough. So it's good. Mo, that's going to do it for defensive backs. We got through that. That's pretty good. I'll take it. Right.
Really quick. And I said 60% confidence in the secondary. And that's because I need to see it. I need to read these reports at training camp, because as I wrote in a piece recently, a lot of these defensive backs are in a prove-it year, or they're going into their second year like Hobbs and Moehrig. So we haven't seen a lot. So they're in their early stages of development. So they don't have that de facto number one guy who's a proven all-pro player, but someone could step up, and I'm willing to wait and see who that is going to be this summer.
And that's what it comes down to. And that's what camp is great for. Sometimes you roll into camps and you're like, okay, you have a couple things you want to look at, but between the offensive line and the defensive back battles that are going to go on, and then the next position, which we're going to talk about on the next show early next week, defensive line, right? So we kind of know what's happening at the edge, but what's going to happen on the inside? Are they going to be able to get a push? So there's so many storylines. This Raider team, there's no doubt, everybody, that they're better. I really do believe they're better overall, but there's question marks in how it's going to gel together, and who's going to step up and become that alpha, become that starter is really fascinating to me. So we have lots to talk about, and we'll never run out of things to talk about, because we like to talk as well. So it works out good that way, right? But Mo, we're gonna talk defensive line
we'll have
next
a little bit
time,
about, because Raiders training camp will be right underway.
It'll be underway. So the next time you hear our lovely voices, you will our sultry and very calming voices will be next week as the Raiders roll into camp on the 18th. I know we're excited about it. I will be out there in Las Vegas, so I'll let you know how hot it is, and as my face is melting off, I don't miss that, but we'll be there to do it. Mo, again, man, I appreciate it. Follow him at Twitter, MoeMoton. Also read his stuff. I mean, if you're not reading Mo, then you either are only like really positive fan content, which there's nothing wrong with, but Mo is an objective journalist. He writes about all NFL teams up on Bleacher Report, including the Raiders. And then over on Sports Not, he also writes about the Raiders. You got anything you want to tease before, so people get ready to read the rest of this week?
Well, I'll put this out there. I had a piece on the most dominant player at each position. There's a Raider on that list. I had nine bold predictions for the 2022 season. There's a Raider prediction on there, and I think fans will like that. I also have a piece coming out on Guess Who, Anthony Averett, who I talked about, probably mentioned his name 25 times on this show. I'm also going to release.
Now I know why.
Exactly. I've been writing about it. I've been doing my studies on it. And also I'm going to release a pre-training camp depth chart letting you know which 53 guys I think will make the final roster.
Just for the Raiders, or are you doing every NFL team because you're a glutton for punishment?
Just for the Raiders.
I was going to say, I'm going to call Bleacher Report and say, are you working this guy too hard?
Hey, I actually did a depth chart for every team, but that came out in, I believe it was June. So I was locked in my cave doing that. Yes.
I do remember that, and that's when you disappeared, because you needed to go like on a mountain and just be by yourself after doing all those rosters. I don't blame you. Mo, as always, my friend, it's a pleasure. We will talk to you next week.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right, there you go, Mo Moton. I am Scott Branson. Follow me up on Twitter at LVGoalie. Also, SNB Today. Also, Silver and Black, the number 2 day on Instagram, where you can find stuff that we put up there, including videos and whatnot. Head over to our YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe. The show is also put up there if you'd like to watch us, which is always fun usually. But yeah, go do that. And don't forget the most important thing, subscribe to the podcast. We truly appreciate your support. As an Odyssey original podcast, that's how we judge how we're doing. Go up there, download it wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us a 5-star rating. We thank you very much for that, Raider Nation. Until next time, be good to one another. We'll talk to you next week.